It was a crisp Saturday morning in late April, and the first warm breeze of spring made the leaves on the maple tree outside my apartment rustle softly, like they were whispering secrets. I had the windows open, music playing low, and coffee brewing in the kitchen. It was one of those rare mornings that felt suspended in a peaceful kind of magic. And then my phone buzzed. "Hey, you home?" It was Liam. I stared at the message for a second longer than I should have. He was my best friend's older brother. But more than that, he had become the quiet part of my life that I didn't quite know how to explain. Ever since Melanie moved to New York last fall, Liam had stepped in like gravity. He helped fix things around my apartment, checked on me when I was sick, and somehow always appeared just when I needed someone. We hadn't defined it. Whatever it was. But I couldn't deny the way I felt every time he looked at me like I was the only thing in the room. I texted back quickly. "Yeah, what's up?" His reply came instantly. "I got something for your patio. Be there in 10." 10 minutes later, he was knocking on my door. His shadow long in the morning sun. He wore that navy t-shirt that hugged his chest just right and jeans with a rip at the knee. I opened the door and nearly forgot how to breathe. "Morning," he said, holding a giant cardboard box. "Hope you're ready to work." "What's in there?" I asked, stepping aside so he could come in. He grinned. "It's a hammock swing. Thought it might be nice for your little balcony garden." I blinked. "Liam, that's actually so sweet. I figured you'd say that." He walked through to the patio, box in hand. We spent the next half hour unpacking it. It had a wooden frame and thick woven fabric, all tied up in instructions that looked like they had been printed in another language. We laughed, spilled a bag of screws, and tried not to drop any parts through the slats of the balcony floor. Finally we had the frame up. But the fabric seat was tight. Really tight. Liam held the thick canvas ends in both hands, trying to fit the fabric through the wooden dowels. "This isn't gonna work. It won't fit." I walked over and put my hand gently over his. "Just go slow," I whispered. His eyes flicked up to mine and something passed between us, something heavy and electric. The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable. It was thick with everything we hadn't said for months. He nodded and began guiding the fabric carefully. I stood behind him, watching his fingers move with surprising gentleness, until he finally pulled it through with a satisfying click. We both laughed. "You did it," I said. "We did it," he corrected, turning to look at me. "You know, I never used to like mornings." I raised an eyebrow. "What changed?" He took a step closer. "You." I felt my breath catch. "Liam." He brushed a loose strand of hair from my cheek and looked down at me. "I'm not trying to be too forward, but I've been holding this in for way too long. Think about you, Haley. More than I should." "You're not the only one," I admitted. His hand lingered on my jaw, and for a second, neither of us said anything. Then he leaned down slowly. I could have stopped him, but I didn't want to. When his lips touched mine, everything melted away. The noise of the city, the sound of birds chirping, even the spring breeze. It was soft and unsure at first, like he was afraid I'd pull away. But I didn't. I leaned into him, into the moment that had been building between us for what felt like forever. When we finally pulled apart, I smiled and whispered, "So, what now?" He took my hand and led me to the hammock swing. "Now we sit. You test this thing out." I laughed, settling into the hammock as he gently pushed it back and forth. He sat on the patio floor beside me, sipping the coffee I'd brewed, and we talked for hours. About dreams, about how we'd both been avoiding what was real, about how something as simple as a morning together could change everything. Around noon, the sun was high and warm, and Liam got up to stretch. "Want to go for a walk?" he asked. We wandered down to the farmer's market near the park. He bought me a lemon tart, and I teased him about his secret addiction to fresh peaches. We were just easy, laughing, bumping shoulders, stealing glances. It felt like a date, but with none of the awkwardness. It felt natural, like we were finally where we were supposed to be. Later that afternoon, We stopped under a giant oak tree near the pond. I leaned against it. The sunlight dappled across my face. "You're beautiful," Liam said quietly. Blushed. "Stop. I'm serious. I've wanted to say it since the day Melanie introduced us. She'd freak if she knew we were together." He laughed. "Guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there." I touched his arm. "You sure about this?" He leaned in again, slower this time. "I've never been more sure of anything." The kiss was deeper this time, filled with promise. I could feel every beat of his heart against mine. It wasn't just passion. It was something deeper, something rooted in months of quiet moments and stolen looks. That night we curled up on my couch watching old movies. His arm was draped around me, his thumb tracing circles on my shoulder. "I should probably go," he said, looking at the clock. I turned to face him. "You could stay. If you want." He hesitated. "You sure?" He nodded. "Just go slow." He kissed my forehead and smiled. "I will." We didn't rush anything. We didn't need to. Everything about that day had been slow, thoughtful, and full of intention. Sometimes love doesn't come crashing in like a storm. Sometimes it arrives like the first warm breeze of spring, quiet and full of hope. That day changed everything. It wasn't about the swing or the morning coffee or even the kiss. It was about the truth we finally let in. And once we did, everything just fit.